So The Last Princess, also known as Princess Deokhye, has been one of the most anticipated Korean movies of 2016. The story is based off The Last Princess of the Joseon Dynasty, which ended in 1910. Be prepared to get your tissues out because this movie is one tearjerker. So the story starts off with Princess Deokhye living in privilege. Princess Deokhye pretty much leads the Disney princess life, as she's wealthy, she never gets out of the castle walls, and she's pretty much sheltered. But when her father, Gojong, dies of poisoning, her life suddenly turns upside down. The Japanese soon occupy her family's estate, and Deokhye is soon blackmailed by the Japanese to abandon her family and her servants to move to Japan at the age of 14. While she was supposed to finish her schooling in Japan and come back at around age 18-19ish, she never actually does so. As with real history, Deokhye was banned by the Japanese from coming back to her native Korea when she became an adult. But with the help of one of her childhood friends, Kim Jong-un, a Korean who was serving in the Japanese army in Japan, they plan to smuggle her in back into Korea. And thus starts the beginning of the story of The Last Princess. Now first, let's talk about the acting. The actors are headlined by none other than Ye-jin, who plays Princess Deokhye. And Ye-jin does an amazing performance in this movie. In fact, I would argue is one of the pinnacles of her acting career. Next, we have Park Hae-il, who plays the childhood friend Kim Jong-han, and he plays a strong role playing that childhood friend that really cares for Princess Deokhye, and also has that romantic interest at the same time. Kim Jae-wook plays the Count Takeyuki, and as with real history, Count Takeyuki is actually the Japanese man that Princess Deokhye was forced to marry while she was living in Japan. Rah Mi-ran plays Bok-soon, who's the servant of Princess Deokhye and plays a superb performance. In fact, her performance was nominated as Best Supporting Actress in 2016. And lastly, popular teenage actress Kim So-hyun plays the teenage version of Princess Deokhye. As you look at the lineup of the movie, it shows that the acting is expected to be superb, and indeed it is. While the movie starts off as a drama, the middle of the movie soon turns into this action spy thriller. And it actually makes sense as they're trying to sneak Princess Deokhye from Japan back to Korea. So you can imagine there's going to be some tension, some action scenes, and some firefights along the way. This movie is also steeped in a lot of Korean history and sorrow, as Princess Deokhye's story is quite sad. It was also noted when first offered the role of Princess Deokhye, Ye-jin accepted the role without hesitation, calling it an extreme honor and being humbled about it. Furthermore, it was reported that Ye-jin spent about $900,000 of her own money to finance the film, showing that she's in it to win it and that she really cares about the film. Now, director Her, who you guys might know from Christmas in August, said that he was inspired to make this film based on Princess Deokhye when he saw a documentary of her a couple years ago. Her image, her story, and her pain stayed with director Her as he knew he had to make a film about this. Director Her wanted to portray her life about Korea as like being surrounded by loved ones, and he also wanted the newer, younger generation to know about Princess Deokhye and how she played such an important role in modern Korean history. Now it's time to talk about some of the good things as well as the bad things about the movie. Now first, the good. One of the biggest reasons I like this movie is that although it's a tearjerker, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't force you to cry like many of the Korean movies and Korean dramas today. Now I know this sounds kind of weird, but it does so in a way where it respects the viewer, but you just know it's sad. And if you don't cry, you probably have a heart of stone. The movie's just that sad. You just really feel for Princess Deokhye at the end of the movie. Another thing I liked about the movie is that the environment really captures the 1910s and 1920s of Korea. You really just feel like you're there. You really feel that you're living the era. I always believe that one of the most important parts of a historical film is the environment. Can you actually visualize yourself in that era? And this movie definitely passes that in spades. One of the most memorable parts of the movie that I loved was the speech during the middle of the movie. And that's when Princess Deokhye is in Japan, and she gives this big speech to Korean laborers working in Japan, how that they're going to come back to Korea one day, to a free country, and to never give up. It's such a touching speech. The speech is without a doubt one of the highlights of the movie, and I would actually just watch this film just for that speech. It's just so touching. It was so inspirational and awe-inspiring to watch. The biggest strength of this movie is that after watching The Last Princess, it makes you want to learn more about Princess Deokhye. And I always believe with all historical movies that if that movie makes you want to learn more about that person or event in time, then that movie did its job. In fact, after the movie, I went straight to Naver, which is the Korean Google, as well as Google itself, to look up more about Princess Deokhye. As I learned more and more about her, I learned more about Korea and its culture as well. Now let's talk about the bad, which I don't think is bad, but some film critics might see it differently. And that is, this movie plays a nationalistic, jingoistic attitude towards Japan. But with any movie that deals with historical context, it's kind of hard to avoid some kind of nationalistic angle. You know, to a certain extent, every historical movie, especially war movies, and with this movie, it's hard to ignore that Korea and Japan didn't get along, that it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns between the two countries, and that Korea really didn't like Japan invading and conquering their country during that time, much less barring Princess Deokhye from returning to Korea. So it's a really tough balance for any historical movie to both show the proper respect towards a country they're talking about, Japan in this case, but at the same time not paint it as like unicorns and rainbows, because that's not how Korean history actually went. So with me, again, I don't think there was any major flaws in this movie. I think the movie hit in all points. The movie centered around Princess Deokhye, and it hit on all cylinders. But for some critics, they might feel that there's a nationalistic angle in this movie. So sorry for that rant, guys. I had to get that off my chest. If you guys like this movie review, we'd love if you guys subscribe to our channel. It helps us out so much. And we'd love to hear your comments on this movie review. Did you guys learn anything new about Princess Deokhye? Does it make you want to watch The Last Princess? And if you guys did watch The Last Princess, what did you guys think? We'd love to hear your comments in the comments below. And if you guys want more Asian movie suggestions to watch, please sign up for our email list and download our free book, The 108 Asian Movies to Watch. And until next time, we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.